If you want to learn to do this, I'm going to do my best to teach you how. Throat singing originated from East Asia and is mostly practiced in Tuva, Mongolia, and Tibet, among other regions. There are three main styles. There's Khoomei, Sigut, and Kargara, which is what we'll be focusing on in this tutorial because this lets us sing an octave lower than our regular voice. Before we get started, a few quick disclaimers.
Listen up, please!
Throat singing is not the easiest thing to teach or especially to learn. For most people, I have met people who just instantly know how to do it. It's pretty unfair. I am far from the first person to delve into this subject on YouTube, but my goal is to hopefully add to the collective knowledge around it and maybe give new perspective on ways to achieve the sound. Also, and this is a big also, please be careful if you are trying this for the first time. I could tell you that this was a healthy technique that won't cause any vocal damage or discomfort, but I would be a huge liar.
I wish you weren't a liar.
We're going to be activating parts of your vocal system that you've probably never used before, and as a result, it's likely not going to be a comfortable feeling. Any sound that is not your regular speaking voice technically has the potential to cause damage over time. So bottom line, please be careful. If you're just starting out, I would recommend only practicing for around 5 minutes at a time. And if you find yourself doing any of this, just stop. It is not worth it. Alright, the first method to try is probably the simplest. This is something I found from video game composer Mick Gordon, who went to a monastery to learn how to throat sing for a theme on the Killer Instinct soundtrack. He describes it as clearing your throat, but holding the sound.
Where your throat starts to go a bit furry, you kind of hold that.
So we'll start by clearing our throat, and you don't want a wimpy little You want to be like that obnoxious guy in the movie theater that won't stop going. Do you mind? Now you'll notice if you keep doing this that it's probably not the most comfortable feeling in the world, but if you hold out the second slightly longer, you might start to feel a vibration in the front of your throat, maybe right around your larynx or just above. This is a good way to warm up for what we're doing next. Now, pick a note that is super comfortable for your voice. You want a note that takes almost no effort to hit. For me, this is around C#3. And I want you to try going like this, in the same rhythm as you cleared your throat, just And now we're going to combine the two. Whatever your comfortable note is, keep that as your target note, and I want you to try clearing your throat again. And if you keep working at this, you might start to get a stronger sound.
Wow.
So what exactly is happening here? How does your voice drop by a full octave when you combine these sounds? It all has to do with vocal anatomy and a little bit of math. I'll try and make this quick so I don't bore you to death.
To be honest, he does tend to get a little f***ing boring.
Kargara is a type of subharmonic singing where we access and amplify undertones in our voice. But instead of combining your normal chest voice with vocal fry, which is how you create subharmonics, you're combining your chest voice with your false vocal folds. Your false chords, also called your ventricular or vestibular folds, are not actually connected to your regular vocal folds.
Wow, that's crazy.
But they can be accessed in a few different ways and vibrated just like your regular folds. I'm definitely no expert on vocal anatomy, so if you want more information on this, I recommend checking out this article from the National Library of Medicine. I'll put a link to it in the description. When we throat sing, we're actually using both sets of folds at the same time. And strange as it sounds, each fold is hitting a different pitch. Subharmonics are amplified when you create a perfect fifth with those two notes at the same time. So for example, if I were to sing C3 with my regular folds, then I would actually need to sing 7 semitones higher with my false folds, which would be a G3, to get the octave drop. This is definitely not something that you're going to be consciously aware of when you throat sing. It's very difficult to control notes you hit with your false chords.
That's simply not possible.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
You really only want to be focusing on the fundamental pitch you're hitting with your chest voice and not the fifth above it. I'm not entirely sure why an octave drop occurs when you hit these two notes at the same time. I do have my own pretty unsupported theory that it has to do with both notes sharing a common undertone from the undertone series. But this is mostly just conjecture on my part, and if you want more information on subharmonics, I would definitely recommend checking out Bass 2 Yang, because he has a lot of great information on this.
And moving on.
So the key to learning the throat sing is knowing how to activate your false folds. If you had any success with the throat clearing method, then you already know how. But there are other ways to activate them as well. There's a technique that I'm not super great at called fire breathing.
That's unfortunate.
Which sounds something like this. I'm not sure how useful this technique is in relation to Kargara throat singing because it's a very different sensation. It should feel like it's coming from the lower part of your throat, maybe around or just below your larynx. It's a very soft sound. You want to be pushing very little air through and try and be as relaxed as possible. Another way you can try to activate the false folds is with death metal false chord growls.
You don't want to go there.
Funny enough, this is actually how I learned to throat sing. It was a complete accident. One of my favorite bands is Opeth, and around 6 years ago, I was messing around pretending that I could growl like Michael Ackerfeld. So I would do this silly sounding death voice, and one day I accidentally slipped into Kargara throat singing. False chord growls involve pushing a lot of air with your stomach. You don't want to use your chest voice at all. You're not going to be hitting any notes. You should feel it in the mid to upper part of your throat, so around your larynx or above, just like throat singing.
That sounds good.
Again, you can start by clearing your throat to activate your false folds. And work on trying to push more air through with your stomach without increasing the volume.
Hear the roar.
False chord growls actually involve using a lot more force, at least in my experience, than Kargara throat singing does. So if you do succeed in making that sound, I would recommend backing off a little bit on your airflow and try to relax. You might find that you can slip into it just like I did. Once you've had some success activating your false folds, which could take weeks or months, don't try to rush things. I recommend practicing another throat singing technique, Khoomei, to strengthen your sound. Again, you want to pick a note that is very comfortable for your voice, and as you sing it, you want to try tightening the muscles in your throat right around your larynx. I find it helpful to envision pushing in with my chest as well as my diaphragm to help get that sound. If you try moving your mouth around, you might start to hear overtones created by the shape of your mouth. And if you soften your Khoomei sound a little bit and try engaging the false chords like we did when we were clearing our throat, you will get a stronger Kargara sound. And that just about does it. Like I said, throat singing isn't the easiest technique to grasp, but once you get it, at least in my experience, it's kind of like riding a bicycle. If you stop practicing, you're gonna get worse at it, but you're never gonna forget how to do it. That sensation is always going to be there. Keep practicing clearing your throat and engaging your false folds, and remember to take lots of breaks and don't overdo it.
Don't tell me what I can't do!
Throat singing sounds cool, but it's not worth giving yourself vocal nodules over. Stay tuned, I will be creating a part 2 video where I show how you can go even lower with your throat singing. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoyed the video. If you want to support the channel, you can check out my music or my merch I have on my website, which I'll put links for in the description. And I'll see you in the next one.